Okay, hello and welcome to another virtual Elastic Community Meetup. My name is Olivia, and I am a program manager here on the community team. Um, Sorry, I had the video going to make sure it was going live, and then I could hear my voice, and it was scary. I am joined today by Enrique Courtright. He is a principal education architect here at Elastic. I'm sure you've seen him on the YouTube before, so that I think this is his third or fourth presentation. He will be presenting on the new synthetic app. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please post those in the chat, and we'll get those answered at the end of today's talk. And with that, Enrique, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Olivia, and thanks everybody for participating and attending, and later on for sharing the video, because we're going to have this available on YouTube. So it's a lot of fun to participate in these meetups because it's a meetup. It's not really a formal webinar. We do have slides and demos, but it's a technology that just came out, and I felt like I could share it from the point of view of the training team, and so I picked the fun aspects of it. It's not gonna be an exhaustive presentation on synthetic monitoring, but more on the fun little synthetics app and its place in Elastic Observability. So hopefully it's fun, and at the end, hopefully I can answer some of your questions. We can always follow up through LinkedIn or comments in the video. And so if I can't answer a question today, no worries. I can still look it up later and ask people that know more about this than I do. All right. So this is what I have in mind. Oh, by the way, so make sure you join your local user group, and then you can participate in virtual meetups and also in-person meetups. And you can also be a speaker and a contributor. So we have awards for those of you who step up and become formal Elastic friends, and we're willing to welcome you to the community and give you something in return, at least recognition. We have a lot of members of the community that present at meetups, and their expertise is amazing. So please consider contributing. All right, so this is what I have for you today. We're going to talk about Elastic Observability. There are some terms that I want to make sure we use properly, because in general, I don't think we do, even within Elastic. And I want to be consistent with observability in the field, so that you can place, this app is part of observability, and so on and so on. Then I'm going to break up the observability tools as the ones that give us an internal picture of a system, which would be like logs and metrics and traces, and then the ones that give us the ability to view the system from the outside. Sometimes, you want to know, well, what does my system look like from the inside, from the outside? Can users access it? Can they access it from Germany? What about from Singapore? Is it the same experience? Can they even get through? So synthetic monitors allow us to do that. So they're kind of like, they could even be inside the system, but they're not really part of the system. They're pinging services, applications. Are you there? And then they're waiting for an acknowledgement. Well, we can also do that at the browser level, and try out a user journey and see if it can be completed. And then we can do that periodically, like every 10 minutes. Can a user buy a product and check out and pay? So that's what you want to do for because in the end, you might say, well, the state of my system is good. It's healthy. Everything's up and running. Yeah, but users don't buy anything. So that the state of the system is not as good as we think. Can users succeed in their journeys? And that's what we're here to talk about. Then I'm going to give you a whole bunch of things you can do after this meetup, and including tons of references you can read up on, and things you can do to improve your standing in in the field of observability, in case it's not there already. All right, so what is observability? So this is a little bit of theory. And I did want to include it here because a lot of the time we say monitor and observer interchangeably, and they really have their place, agent and what is telemetry and so on. So let's begin with a few terms, not too many, because we want to get to the fun part. So a system is observable if from its output you can tell its state. That is actually the mathematical definition of a system being observable. And of course, you can't really monitor, control, manage, or test a system that is not observable. Okay, so I think this is a prerequisite for everything else. Can those outputs help me infer mathematically or just by observation what is going on in my system? In the case of IT, the idea in controllability is really being able to manage it. Can I keep it running? And can I ensure that the users will be able to do what they need to do? And that is the part that I want to talk to you about today, because it's not always obvious that users are getting what they need. We have a system that's up and running. All the pages are respond in 2 milliseconds. And, it's amazing. And yet, users are dissatisfied because we don't stop and think, what is the user-centric view? Can they do what they came here to do? Okay. Now, an observability solution is a set of tools and best practices for instrumenting, collecting, storing, analyzing, alerting, and acting on all of these outputs we are going to collect. The actual collection and shipping is called telemetry, and the verification that the system is doing what it's supposed to do is what monitoring means. So observability is just opening up the system through its outputs. Monitoring is verifying that the system is doing what it's supposed to do, including the business use cases, the journeys. Now, Elastic Observability, we claim that it is an observability solution that has everything. Okay, it's a state-of-the-art, complete, and always evolving picture. It's an always evolving solution for observability that will give you an accurate view of your system inside and outside. Okay, all right. I think that's enough theory. So the idea is that you instrument your system, you observe it, you monitor it. When things go wrong, you want to know instantaneously. So we want to be able to detect either visually or using some sort of algorithm for data analysis. It could include machine learning or not. Sometimes it's just exceeding a threshold, and I want to know immediately. And then have the notification contain enough information, or maybe the notification be a call to a system that is going to steady our system. Some self-healing capabilities. All right. So from the inside, these are the pillars that we're used to. I think people have stopped using the word pillar for the pillars of observability. I have not. I like the idea that the observability solution is standing on the shoulder of giants. And those are logs, because systems, thankfully, are willing to tell us a lot of what's happening through logs. Every time something of interest happens, they log it. And they put it in a place where we can capture it using an agent and ship it. So, in fact, Elastic's first claim to fame was the ability to concentrate those logs in a single location. Logs are things that happen whenever they happen, but we can do more than that. We can measure the system at intervals of 5, 10, 30 seconds daily, weekly, and those would be metrics collected from the system. So logs and metrics, I think, would be the very first ones. But we can go even further because a lot of the time the runtimes of the programming languages we use have entry points for instrumentation, like the Java virtual machine was built with instrumentation in mind. It's like, watch me, observe me. That's how it was defined from the very beginning. So our Java agent our Java agent, Elastic agent, all it does is it latches onto a JVM and collects everything the JVM is willing to tell us, which includes errors, stack traces, database calls and their latencies, external services. And then we can even instrument inside the code. We can say, can you just measure this bit of code? We can correlate logs with traces. So we can do all sorts of things. And then I think another pillar is the dashboard, because that is the state, right? When we say a system is observable, and that we say that means that we can tell the state from its outputs. Well, where is the state, you might ask? Well, it's in the dashboard. Okay. But the dashboard is just one of them. We can also tell the state and see if something is wrong using machine learning and data analytics. And what we're interested in, let's just get to the bottom line, is something wrong. Can we anticipate that something will be wrong? So I want to detect anomalies, outliers, and conditions of interest and be alerted when it happens. At a minimum, I would like to know that something did happen. I know there are hacking instances in which you were hacked and you don't even know when, how, who, where, because none of the data was collected properly. So at least knowing, yeah, it happened and this is what happened. Let's do a postmortem so that it will never happen again. All right, but all of this is from things we control. I mean, we built all those pieces that generate logs. We can get to those systems and measure them. But what happens from the outside? What is the view from the outside? Things we cannot control is obviously what the user decides to do and which path they decide to take. And will they succeed, or will they get stuck in a cart that doesn't add a product, a checkout funnel where the pay process or iframe doesn't work? So we don't have a way of controlling everything and instrumenting things we don't own. So we would like to get a holistic picture of what's happening to our system, but from the point of view of our user. So we're kind of extending the boundaries into, well, who's using the system and are they being successful? Okay. So that's what we want. We want to complete the internal pillars with a view from the outside. And we can do that using real user monitoring. So that would be one step in which whenever we serve the client, to the browser, when we serve the client code, we insert the tracker. And that's the RUM, real user monitoring. And that one is actually observing the browser from the inside and reporting all that and correlating with, okay, they clicked a button that called the Node.js front end, that one called Java, that one called the database returned, and Java returned, and then the user got this, and it took like 20 milliseconds. So we get all of that from RUM, but RUM is still an internal view, and it does not. If you wanted to know if the user succeeded in what they came here to do, we probably do have all the data, but assembling that is probably pretty close to being impossible. So for that, we want to use a synthetic monitor. A synthetic monitor is a monitor that works on the outside, attempting to verify whether our system is doing what it's supposed to. So we have some that are lightweight. You may know them as heartbeat and uptime. And what they do is they just ping. Is the website up? I mean, how can I buy at your website if your website is not up? Well, we want to know that. So we can just use heartbeat and ping and make sure that the gateway, that the website, the load balancer, everything that serves the user is up and running. But what we really want is being able to run through the use case, the journey, and see if, we can make, go from beginning to end successfully, not just one time, but all the time, because our system is there for business. It's open for business. And not only that, we want to do it from locations around the world. We want to set up a monitor in Germany and one in Japan and one in Brazil. And we want to see what the experience is from those points of view. So RUM kind of sort of tells us where they came from, but it's not a view from the outside. That's what synthetic monitors will do. And then you can also alert on these. You can alert if your disk if your disk is about to fill up, and you can generate an alert on that. That's a very key alert. If the CPU is melting, that's another alert. That the user was not able to check out is a pretty significant alert that I want to get. And then if we combine this with testing, testing is so close to monitoring. I mean, monitoring is checking out every so often that the system is going okay. Testing would be, well, let's try this and let's try that. And then we assemble the suite in combination with the monitors and the journeys and all the tests we do all over the place. All right, and then we can get an idea at the user. Let's talk beyond just the ping to the journeys. So the green ones would say, well, the last time we tried to do this task, we succeeded as a user. This time, not so much. It was too long, or we were not able to succeed. This is our fraction of error. So this is what we're going to get from the synthetics views in the app in Kibana. So I'm very excited because this app was beta for a while, and now it's been released. In fact, when I was planning on giving this talk, it was still beta, and I was going to warn you, if it's in beta, don't rely on it. But now it's out in version 8.8, and still has a few bugs here and there, but it's okay. So the synthetics app is going to allow me to define a monitor, include the code that is supposed to run through the journey, indicate which locations I want to run it from, and at what period, with what frequency. Now there are some gotchas here. Well, not gotchas, but there's a little bit of a learning curve. Oh, by the way, these locations, if you are using the Elastic Cloud, these are managed by Elastic. So all you have to say is tested from Germany, make it happen from Germany or Japan. So it's very easy to just say, I want these locations. We take care of the rest because we have already places from which we can test and run your code. The only learning curve is that the journeys are written in JavaScript. Well, actually, not quite just JavaScript. It's something called Playwright, which is a language built for describing multi-step journeys. And if you're not an expert in that kind of coding, because there is a learning curve, you can actually use the recorder, which is, that's the reason I like meetups, because we can say, well, what is the easy way to create the code for a journey? Well, we use a recorder. And using the recorder, we just run through the scenario as a user would with the recorder on, and the recorder will generate the Playwright code, which we just copy and paste to our monitor. And then we just put it on a schedule. And then every 10 minutes, it's easy if a user can do what it needs to do. So I am going to go ahead and demo this end-to-end, inside and outside. So I am going to borrow one of our systems from our training, and that is the famous or infamous pet clinic. This is not, we didn't invent this one. And there's many different versions of the pet clinic. It's used to, to demonstrate multi-tiered applications with Java, Spring, and Node.js. So we have one, and we use that in our observability course. And I'm using actually the instrumentation we do in that class. Okay, so this one is fully instrumented. It looks like this. It's got a JavaScript front end, React, Node.js front end, Java Spring back end, back of the back end, and then a MySQL database, and all the data is being collected and shipped to Elasticsearch. So this will give me the internal view. Okay, so if you want to know how to do that, take the observability class, because that's what we do there. So that every time a user clicks on something, adds something, types something, all of that is being captured and generated, from the user interaction on the browser. And then all of these things are linked in the form of traces and transactions and spans, so that you can see, well, they clicked here and then we went here, and the round trip took this long, but there was an error and here's the stack trace. So we have all that. But what I want to add today is actually I want to go back and go to the demo. I want to add the outside view. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to switch to the outside view, and I'll come back to the slides because I have some next steps to talk to you about. So this is the pet clinic, right? So I can click here and I can find an owner. I can edit them. I can, do whatever changes. I can add a pet or not. Then I can look for vets. I can even simulate errors. So this one's made for testing and programming and learning. Okay. All right. So what I want to do is add a monitor that will exercise the capabilities of the pet clinic in the right sequence to see if a user can do something, a business use case. The business use case that I want to test is whether I can add a pet, a newly born or newly acquired pet for an owner, for a new happy owner. Okay, I want to record that. So let's see if we can make that happen. So I'm going to go to my, so I'm going to use the cloud deployment that is sitting outside, looking into my pet clinic, and then I have the, the observation that I do from the inside. The observation that happens on the inside is given by the Observability app in Kibana. So here I can see the stream of logs as things happen on the pet clinic. All of these things are being logged, and we can play it in real time. You can just say, hey, run the stream. So we'll see what happens. Depending on where we instrumented the logging, MySQL, Java, Docker, system, I can have a real-time view. And then I can look at my, my architecture. So this one's actually built on Docker. So my containers seem to be pretty healthy. It's from the CPU point of view, from memory. So this is all internal. And what about my services? Are they connecting to each other? And can I drill down to the address finder or the pet clinic? And so this is the internal view, but what I want is to create a view from the outside and see if I can run through that business journey. So I'm going to do that. So I am going to go from, let me begin at home because I want to show you how to get there. So this is a brand new, or not brand new, but newly upgraded 8.8 cloud deployment. And what I'm going to do is jump to the synthetics. And I get to a view like this that shows me, well, here are all your monitors and an overview of, what things look like. So these are like those tiles that you saw in the slide. What I want to do is I deactivated them. By the way, they cost money, right? But the money they cost is money they're going to save you by anticipating that your users can't buy anything from you. Okay, so let me create a monitor, and I'm going to say this is a multi-step playwright. I could also do pinging from here at these 3 levels: HTTP, TCP, ICMP. I want to do one of these, so I am going to test the pet clinic and create a monitor. This is a browser monitor, and I'm going to create. I already have one, and I am going to test it as if I were coming in from the beautiful island of Japan. And the frequency is going to be 10 minutes, but don't worry, we're not going to have to wait 10 minutes for it to go off. We can actually run it manually. But now it's saying, okay, well, so yeah, every 10 minutes I will wake up and I will wake up in Japan and run your journey. And what is that journey? Well, we don't have one. We don't have one yet. So this is where we start, typing in code, or better yet, using the recorder. Okay, so this is the fun part, because I don't want to generate the code. I don't want to write it by hand. I want to generate the code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to act as an external user, or as a user. I am going to go to the pet clinic. Let me begin here. I'm going to copy this URL, and then I'm going to put it here and begin recording. And this says, okay, let's start recording. What is your journey? Well, my journey would be to reach the pet clinic, find an owner. Let me try Peter McTavish. And what I want to do is see if I can add a pet for old Peter. So I'm going to add Fido or Fifi, whatever you want. Fido was born today, and it's a dog. Okay. All right, so that the recorder actually showed that I can actually do that, but I already knew it because the site is up and running. The idea is to know if this is true consistently and constantly. Okay, so I am going to stop the recording because I want to take the code from here and put it in my monitor. So I don't want to write this code just now. Because then we have to get into a discussion of all, what does all this stuff mean? What is the step in Playwright, and what are the functions that go inside a step? Wait for this to happen. This is what should have happened if you get this far. Now wait for this. This is what should have happened. So I don't want to have to write that, but the recorder did it for me. How do I get that recorder? You can launch it from here, or you can download it, which is what I did, and just run it from your desktop or your laptop. All right, so now I can create the monitor, and that is this one that runs from Japan. And it says, well, I'm waiting for the initial run. Nothing has run, so I don't have any data for you. Well, we're not going to wait the 10 minutes, as I mentioned. We're just going to run it manually. And let's see what happens. So this is always unpredictable, right? Because now we're on the planet trying to do something from Japan with the pet clinic that I just showed you. It's the same. It's the URL that I was using. It's running in one of our training environments. So this is as real as it gets. So the monitor running in Japan attempted to reach the pet clinic. It said it succeeded with all the steps that were recorded. Not only that, it gives me a film strip. So if I have multiple steps, it'll say at the end of this step, this is what the monitor saw. So I can even tell what the user was looking at. There is Fido, and notice that Fido appears twice, right? Once was because I recorded it, and the second time was the monitor doing the same thing. And of course, a more complete monitor would actually erase this data, use only a certain user that is being used for monitoring. Kind of the way you validate your payment plugin by periodically paying with a fake credit card. I mean, those payment plugins are built to be used that way. So then you would define an owner that is the one used for testing, and every so often you would delete all the pets and then run the test. So end-to-end testing is very much what we are doing. If you wanted to do it at scale, then you can manage all the monitors, not with the app, but you can actually use GitHub. And I have links on how to do that. All right, so let's see what happened. We succeeded, but what does it look like? Well, it looks like success. Yeah, but what was the experience from the user's point of view, from the user side? Well, obviously they were able to add the pet because we saw it. And this is the breakdown of everything that happened on the browser from their perspective. Okay. And you can even test these endpoints. You can see it. What picture is that? Is the picture that was loaded, and where was it loaded from? And what was the request, and what were the headers, and what were the right now this is all unsecure, I think, so there won't be any TLS information, but everything about the request and the response is captured in. Now this is not the browser that the user is using, because they could always see it using their developer tools. This is collected and assembled for your viewing pleasure in the Synthetics app. Okay. Now, what happens when things don't work? Because that's part of the reason we are doing all this. Well, let's actually make something not work. If you recall, the pet clinic looks like a multi-tiered system. Let me see if I can get it back to the. Where's my slide? I kind of lost my. my slides, but I'll get them back. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to kill one of the containers. Okay, so I am going to stop the front end, the Node.js front end. So at that point, of course, the pet clinic doesn't work anymore. So when the monitor runs, it is actually going to detect it and complain about it. So if I run it manually, it is going to tell me that things didn't go that well, because it's suffering the same that any user is suffering, right? The pet clinic storefront or whatever, the clinic is down, and it's telling us what happened. The connection was refused. There was nobody at that endpoint answering our request, at least not on port 4000. Okay, well, that is what I wanted to know. But more than that, it sent me an alert. It says, pet clinic monitor down from Asia Pacific, Japan is down. It couldn't run the journey successfully. And it tells me what it was trying to reach and how to find the information about the error by going to the Synthetics app. So this is what we were trying to reach. This occurred. And then if you want to have all the information about the breakdown of how far we got, you click on this one, you log into your deployment, you go to the Synthetics app, which I think this will take us directly to that, and then you find out more. Now, from the inside, it is fun to see that from the inside, we also know that something is off, because one of our pinging monitors saying, your pet clinic container is down. And we can also have alerts on this one. We can have alerts all over the place. And again, we should know how to manage that noise so that only what is needed to recover the system is sent in the alert and to the right people, as opposed to sending tons and tons of noise that no one will ever look again. We want to recover the system right away. So after doing a little bit of investigation and looking at the internal view, we see that this container is down, and then we find out why. Or we could even call a service that would attempt to do this automatically and see if it cannot recover by itself. This will take a moment. Okay. So because it's waking up the Node.js container. So by the way, in the meantime, whenever the monitor is running, they will get the same experience, right? Can't connect. So right now my system availability is down, and if I look at my availability, it's way down in the dumps, right? So I'm not meeting any SLA at this point. So hopefully this situation will be recovered soon enough, because every time I run the monitor, or when it comes in on schedule to run, it is going to suffer the same fate until it's back. So let's see if this one caught it when it's back. So now the monitor detects that we're back on track, and it is going to tell me that. It's going to say that it is down. In a moment, I should get an alert that it is back up. Here it is. So it's the alert's no longer active. The monitor is now up again. It ran successfully the journey. And here is, this is what happened the last time we tried. So if you're getting a lot of these messages, it's down, it's up, it's down, it's up, then it's time to find out, why is that container crashing all the time? It might be that it's being recovered automatically, but it keeps crashing, recovered. So you might want to pay attention to this flow. We actually have a language that detects sequences of events, and that would tell you, what, it's time to pay a little bit more attention to that and fix it. All right, and that is the demo. So let me go back to the slides, and then we'll talk. I have time for questions, pretty sure. but I need to find the slides. Here we go. All right. So what we did, and the monitor detected it, in the failed journey, it couldn't even get to the store, to the pet clinic, because we knocked this container down. But then we fixed it, and then it attempted the journey and said, yeah, I was able to add the pet. You can actually see that it did, because now Peter has a bunch of Fidos, now has 3 Fidos. And then every time the journey runs, there will be even more Fidos. Okay, let me put the screen, the slides back. All right, so what do we do next? Well, you can actually try everything out, including the locations, for free for 14 days. Just click on this link when you get the slides, and then you can get a 14-day trial, no credit card required. Which I mean, whenever they say try this product and put in your credit card, I don't think I've ever done that. And then we have a site for demos. It doesn't have the app yet, but it will at some point. So you can just go to demo.elastic.co and browse security and observability and analytics. And it's set up in a way that you can't really break anything. So just give it a spin. And then you can take the observability class. You can even get certified as an Elastic observability engineer, among other things. And then if after what you saw, with logs, metrics, traces, synthetics, dashboards, machine learning, analytics, if it's still not what you need for your observability, we need to know why we're not your solution. So if you don't mind, please fill in a very simple, quick feedback form. It's got a drop down, and you say, for observability, your solution is on the right track, but it's not what I want, because my job involves doing these steps, and I can't really do that without tons of context switching. You can be brutally honest. That's what we need to know. Okay. All right, and I do have tons and tons of references, so you can read about the theory. So I picked some really good blogs, and this is, I think, a book that at least goes through the terminology and says, what is the difference between monitoring and observability? Are they the same thing? No. And what is telemetry and all this? And why does it matter? Well, it matters because our ECS standard is now part of the Open Telemetry project, I believe. And then I put in this use case of how Twitter went from a monolith to a highly distributed multi-service architecture, and the pains they went through, and the type of observability. Because, it's one thing when you have a single supercomputer, it's a monolith, and then you want to say, well, what is the state of that? Well, you have the logs and metrics like in one place, right? It's very easy to tell what's going on. But if you break up that system into hundreds of services all over the place, all over the world, what is the state of my system? Well, that's when you need observability solution that includes the telemetry, the agents, the instrumentation, the shipping, the gigantic container that's scalable, the dashboards, and everything. So, and then I have a lot of information on the things you saw, including if you want to use monitors, but at scale, you have tons and tons of journeys, then you are going to use for something. We make it easy for you to use GitOps as your DevOps to make this your end-to-end replacement for testing. All right, and I think that is it. It's time for Q&A. Before we do that, let me just tell you to, again, join us and participate. Okay, so let me go back here. All right. I think you're on mute.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for bringing up the meetups and the contributor program as well. If you're ever interested in doing a presentation yourself, we are more than welcome to people outside of Elastic as well. We love to hear from people in the community. So feel free to reach out to meetups@elastic.co. Other than that, actually, there weren't any questions in the chat. for the specific presentation. There were a few, but I think they might have hopped off because I tried to clarify and they never responded. So if you do have questions, like Enrique said, feel free to post those in the chat. You can reach out to us, and we're happy to. My dog says hi. So with that, Enrique, I'll let you take us out.
I should have added your dog to the pet clinic. I didn't think to do that. But yeah, as Olivia says, if you have a follow-up question, just look me up on LinkedIn. The video will be posted to YouTube, and then you can comment on that and put your comments on that. So the questions on private locations I did not address at all. That's a separate topic, and it's well documented. Now, this functionality is brand new. It's been in beta for a while, but it's basically brand new. So if it's confusing, we want to know what is it you were trying to do and where you got stuck. So you can always give us feedback about that. And also there is a place, which I did not put in my links, but there's a site called discuss. Can I put it in the chat? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and I can put it in the chat. My dog decided to stop.
So we have a discussion forum inside Elastic, and that's where we have experts answering those questions. So, either reach me, ask through discuss.elastic.co, or comment on the video, and then we'll get to your question that way.
Yeah, perfect. And then the presentation, I will link that in the video description just because Enrique did have a ton of really valuable links as well. So we'll link that. And other than that, I think that's all. Enrique, anything else?
No, that's it.
Cool. Well, thank you, everyone. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and talk to you soon. Take care.
Thanks, everybody.